Turns out racing with that's not so easy when you're doing it with a DualShock. So, today I thought it might be quite fun to show a little bit around how I did my elephant. So, if I jump out of this briefly, and I don't save, no, that was wrong as well. What I'm going to do is go into my elephant. So, if I do that, and so what I have here is my controller going into a couple of different things. So I've got two different ones. I've got one for the ear and one for the trunk. And if I open this up, you can see that as you put pressure on R2 or L2, you get a percentage output. If you use some calculator widgets, what you can do is you can use that to work out which keyframe you want to work. So if I do this real slowly with the correct shoulder button trigger, you can see it move through based on how hard I press the button. And likewise, exactly the same principle in here. So what I think I'm going to try and do is use this mechanic to make a Flappy Bird type thing. I don't quite know how it's going to work, but we will find out. Dreams have meanings. Thank you for joining me. Right, start fresh. We want a scene. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the floor and studio lighting so I can see properly, and I want a grid. So I'm going to need my grid for what I'm going to do. First thing I'm going to do is get my logic out of the way. So here comes the science bit. Chip. I then need to grab my controller, which goes here. That. I don't care about what happens when I die, that's not relevant, and I don't care about what happens when it's a circle. This is going to be a remote control, so I'm going to change that to remote control, and I don't need to bother about anything else. That's all I need right now. So from there, I am also going to need a calculator element. Now, in order to do this, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have two elements for every keyframe, because it's going to have to be between A and B. I don't believe there's one in here that's between A and B. It's only rounding. So I'm going to have to use greater than and less than. So if I do greater than there, and I set this one to be less than that, the output from this is a percentage, which will translate here into 1. So what I'm going to say is if it's greater than 0.01, so if it's more than 1%, and it's less than, say, I don't know, 10%, then that's going to give me a positive output. And if I very quickly string that up to there, if I hold L1 while I press on A, I get a second wire straight away. I don't have to then go back to the output and do something else here. So I can now circle off of that, and I can do a very quick AND gate. And I can do that and that. So if it's greater than that and it's less than that, I'll then get a positive if I've done this right when it's under 10% pressed. So if I press that a little bit, no, that's not doing it. Why is that not doing it? What have I missed? Oh, because it's only, ooh, right, okay. The amount of pressure it takes to do just a 10% is ridiculously small. Oh, because I'm being an idiot. That has to be greater than that. Your input at the top isn't what you change at all. I'm talking nonsense. It's the comparative element at the bottom is what you change. There we go. Right. So that has to go back to there, and this is what you set to your 10. So if I now hopefully do that, okay, that worked. Come on. There we go. You saw it briefly there for just a second, but it's super, super sensitive. There. Okay, so if I do that, I've now got an output. You can see that I've got a less than when the trigger isn't pressed at all, which is why you have to have a greater than there as well. Otherwise, it'll just constantly be on. I may want that for what we're doing a little bit later on. I don't know yet. What I do know is I'm going to need 10 of these bad boys. So, multi-select, clone, and bring it down. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know why it does that sometimes. That's really irritating. But it's not the end of the world, so that's fine. Okay, so that's me got 5 to start with. So I'll set these all up. This will take a little bit of time, so apologies. 11 and 20. 21 and 30. Again, this is for the percentage pressure that I put on the triggers, so this is going to be quite sensitive. And then we've got 31. Actually, no. Okay, so greater than 0.1, so it's got some pressure. Less than 0.1, that's going to have to be 0.11, because then that's your greater than 11. That's going to have to be 10. Yes. Okay, so everything up 1, everything down 1. Makes sense to me, don't worry about it. And then that's at 0.29. Yes, greater than 0.29 and less than, I think that's right. Let me just check that. 0.31. I'm confusing myself here. And if that's great, yes, there we go. So greater than 0.29, which means that has to be greater than 0.39. And that's going to have to be less than 5? Yeah, I think that's right. Yes, that's right. Okay. Now, if I go ahead and hook all of these up, again, holding L1, I can do multiples. And you can see these are starting to flicker as I'm pressing the triggers. So I know it's kind of doing something that I need it to do. So now, if I press the trigger really slowly, these should light up in sequence. There we go. Right, 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, and 50%. Oh, okay. So something's gone wrong there. So let me just check this one. Greater than 0.29. Ah, that's why. I haven't hooked that one up. So if I now hook that one up and do that again, really slowly, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Cool. Okay, so if I now were to repeat that, what's the best way I can do this? Okay, so I'm going to need another calculator element. I'm going to cheat here. So I move these over here. These are all pre-configured, but what I want to happen is I want the value to add something to it, and I want to add 0.5. No, that's going to be my reference value. I'm going to add 0.5 to it here. And what that's going to do is it's going to mean my equals output can go into all of these. And then all I've done is I've increased all of my values by 0.5. So that top one over here was 0.1. When it plugs into here, it'll be that bit higher. Hope this makes sense. So if I plug that in there, No, that didn't do what I thought it was going to do. God damn it. Okay, but we can look into it and find out what's going on. No, that's not going to work. Because that's taking it from 0.5. Okay, no, that's not going to work. Okay, gonna have to do it the old school way. So this one is gonna have to be 0.51. Feel free to talk among yourselves. This is gonna be 0.6. That's going to be 0.6. Yeah, so basically I'm adding 0.5 to all of these values. Oh, I'm an idiot. I could have done this much differently. Right, I'm not too far off where I need to be. Let me rewind a little bit here, because if I do this differently, I can show you guys the shortcut I was trying to get to, because I've just realized where I went wrong. Okay, put our and sign down here. Yes, I did the wrong thing. So add that to that. Yes, and what value do we want to add? We want to do the value from over here going into B. Huh. Maybe not. Okay, back to square one. 51. 60. 60. 71. 80. No, 70. Don't get ahead of yourself. 70? Lol, long way it is then. Yeah, you're not wrong. Long way it is. But hey, that's all good. And then this plus 0.5. No, that was wrong. There we go, 0.8. It'll be worth it, I'm hoping. 0.91. Greater than, no, that was 0.9. This one's 8.9. And this one is 1. Okay, so if I then duplicate that, put that in there, put that in there. I always try and do logic first because I find it the most challenging thing. Hello, I'm Injo. I am in the process of flawlessly and without any mistakes whatsoever, and without having to redo any on all of this, in the process of doing a trigger sensitivity pressure map. So, in theory, now each of these should light up as I press the right trigger in slow sequence. Okay, so there's 10%, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and then 1. So actually for this one, I can get rid of those, because as long as it's going over, then I know I'm going to get an output there. Something went wrong when I was testing that though. Where was it? That one there. What's going on there? Which one did that match to? So that's the same as that, so I've not done this one. Okay. So I'll add 0.5, that's 0.79. Quick maths for you all. You are welcome. That is maths in action. 7, 9, and 90. So now 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and then over that is 100%, which will be my output. So what the hell do I do with this? Okay, I don't need to look at that for a little while now, because now I'm going to do me some sculpting. And I am going to do a really simple sculpt, just for testing purposes. I am going to grab a sphere. I'm going to do it as a stamp, because I don't want to smear it. Little tiny freckles, and this is going to be a shiny wax. What colour do we want the ball to be, folks? Any suggestions for the colour of the ball? Lime green, perhaps? Beautiful lime green colour? That could work. It's going to have to be a bright colour. I can change it afterwards, so I will go for a beautiful green. Right, okay, so I'm going to start with the ball 10 spaces above the floor. 1, 2, space 1, 2, 3, magenta. Okay, we can do magenta. Color's magenta again? That's like a weird dark purple type color, isn't it? No, it's a red. It's basically red, isn't it? Magenta. That's magenta if anyone asks. Okay, position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm just going to post that there. That's all I need. Okay, new sculpt, one below. Oh, no. No, that's not right. So I've got my ball in first position. And I want to create a few of these. Right, next one. I need a ball again. Again, stamp, magenta, shiny wax, and a sphere. However, I don't want this to just be a sphere because this is a ball falling on the ground. So, 3 sizes smaller. Yeah, it probably wasn't quite the right number, but that's okay for now. You will see why just shortly. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this top one I'm actually going to take away, and I'm going to do that one differently. Again, stamp, magenta, shiny wax. Ah, crap, I forgot to change the fleck on the other one. Okay. Again, we're just using standard size for this. We're not doing anything fancy. 3 steps down on the scale and stretching it up just a little bit. Back into the scale again and position that. Okay, so let me just bring this one up a little bit. Because I don't want it to be hitting the bottom. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I now have my 10 steps. So, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to make them all disappear. Great. I need to see them though for what I'm about to do. So we've got them visible, but only visible in here. Now I am going to need to... what am I doing? Keyframes. Keyframes are your friends. So we need a keyframe there. I'm not going to do this just yet. I'm going to replicate these all out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's fine. I will tidy this up afterwards. But I'm going to go that in there, that in there. You get the idea. Basically, as each pressure is reached, it's then going to activate a keyframe. Bonus house points to whoever can guess what the keyframes are going to do. And why? Why would I be doing this? Who knows? There's probably an easier and better way to do this. In other news, oh Christ, you pleb. in other news, I am... Oh no, I needed that after all. God damn it. That one goes in there because that one's activated by that. Now, again, I can just do a very quick check of that. Yes, it's scrolling through them all. Wonderful. Excellent. And actually, I'm going to take that one out and plug that straight into there. So it's always somewhere. Ooh. Maybe not. We'll see. We can play about with it afterwards anyways. Right, so triggers not pressed at all is when the ball will be highest. Keyframe it, go in, make it visible. Done. Next keyframe, go in, make it visible. Done. I hope you guys keep track of which ones I'm doing here because I will forget. End up making accidental ones visible by mistake. Again, there are probably far easier ways of doing this. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are probably much easier ways of doing this, but this is the only way that I could think of to do what I want to do. We'll see. This might end up being complete rubbish, in which case it's everyone else's fault, not mine. Not my fault at all. Next one. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could have just looked at the keyframes themselves lighting up. That one doesn't have anything either. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, that one. Okay. And done. Again, handy little trick that probably everybody knows anyway. Oh, we've got a new viewer. Hello, whoever that is. Click on the keyframe and you will see what it is that you have animated. Really useful in the scene. Other really useful thing is when you click on the keyframe with an X, it does not look like your snake demon at all, Dorian. Get your mind out of the gutter. Also, welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining. We appreciate your presence. So, if you click on, and you Amenjo, hello, good to see you, Chris. So, X, not left click, X onto the keyframe, and you see that it's been done something to as a keyframe. While you're X'd onto it, you can delete whatever you've done with the keyframe. Hello, dreams have meanings. Yes, hello, Sam. Hello, Leadnail. Hello, all of you. Oh dear God, this is going to get confusing. I'm not getting involved. So, I've now deleted what was on that keyframe. It's now an empty keyframe. Really, really useful for if you were cloning a whole bunch of things. Clone it once, delete the keyframe effect from the original and the clone thing, and then you can clone to your heart's content. So, I'm going to undo that because I want that to be there. That doesn't have anything on it yet. That doesn't have anything on it yet, and neither does that. Okay, so I've got 3 to do. I'll start from the bottom now. And that in here, make it visible, and I'm done, and done. In here, yeah, in here, make that one visible, and make that done, done. And last one, make this one visible, and that's done as well. Okay, we're all done. If I now turn on my visibleness, started from the bottom, now we're here. Well, you know, you got to start from somewhere. So as I press this, we can make my ball down, bounce and squish, bounce and squish, bounce and squish. So all of a sudden, I've got a bouncy ball. I can control how much it bounces. Yeah? So that's the idea. I now have a controllable bouncy ball, which kind of has a little bit of an effect to it. It's not quite right. Some of these are... Oh, I've got a slight missing there. I've got a scene fragment missing at exactly that point. That's between those two. What have I done? It'll be the less than greater than on those two. Okay. Less than 0.71. Greater than, there we go. Greater than 0.7. Because if it's greater than 0.7, it should be in here. If it's less than 0.71, it should be in there. That should be me now. So very slowly working through these. Tiny increments of pressure. I've done it again there. There's a fraction there. So I need to less than 0.51. And that one's greater than 0.5. No. That one's greater than 0.5. That will work. The problem I have with logic is that what I tend to do is go through a period of wanting to do something really elaborate, like my piano, which means you need to work out how to do a key press. And not only do you have to work out how to do a key press, you have to work out how to do 88 damn key presses. So that's always fun. Okay, so we now have a bouncy ball. Hooray! Awesome, I've got some logic going. So that is my wondrous bouncy ball. So what do we do now? Well, what I'm thinking of doing is I'm thinking that what I really want to do is I want to have some kind of Flappy Bird type mechanism whereby the ball, you have to make the ball bounce on things. And you have to get the timing right in order to continue. And if you miss one, you kind of lose. So that's what I want to try and achieve. I think what I'm going to start this on is just a big wheel with some pegs on it that goes round and maybe just gets faster and faster. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And what I'd like to do eventually is make it so that I can have pegs of different heights, not just distance, because then it becomes a bit more of a Flappy Bird thing. Otherwise, you could have people just kind of doing that if they got really good at it. But I think that could get quite fun. Or it might be crap, who knows? We will find out. So, first thing I'm going to do is get rid of that, and I'm going to go into my sculpt mode again, create a new sculpt, and I want a cylinder. I need a pretty big cylinder for this, because I want this to... Ooh, that's right in my face. Get out of my grill, man. Okay, yes, that'll work. We're going a bit thinner than that. I don't want it to be this just now. So speaking to John Beach, yeah, name drop. Speaking to John Beach, one of the things that he said was start with lots of detail, and then you can remove the detail as you go. So that is precisely what I think I'm going to do. So I want that to be that little bit bigger. I'm going to zoom out because I can't see nothing. Okie dokie. So if I hold R1, I can now pivot without actually moving anything. You get a little bit of judderiness, but you can see that's not quite in the right place. I can make that a bit easier by increasing my grid size, which makes life a little bit easier as well. Okay, so I'm going to paste that in place. No, I'm not. I'm going to change the material. How's everyone doing this evening? Everyone good? Is you good? Because I want to know. I think we will go for shiny wax on shiny wax. Red pill, green pill, that. Oh, look at that. Because I've got that in just the right position there, when I stamp, not smear, when I stamp that, oh look, it's going to bounce just at the right point. Perfect. Okay, so that's great. I'm now going to put that there. Yeah, everyone seems to be doing very well. That is what I like to hear. Right, I think I want to make that the only thing I see. And I think I'm going to want a kaleidoscope for this one. Again, I am literally making this up as I go, so, you know, go easy. If I do that, right, let's try and, no, that's not going to work. Okay, so if I just start off with something like that. Oh no, that was wrong. Come out the sculpt before you move it, otherwise you'll end up doing it all wrong. Okay, so if I now put a rotator on this, rotator, Just a basic one. I only need it to go one axis. Make sure it's in the right place and don't have anything off-weighted. If it's not centrally weighted, it goes all over the place, and I haven't found a fix for that. Oh no, that was wrong. I don't want it to spin like a top. I want it to spin like a Ferris wheel. Ferris wheel of doom. Right. Okay, so that kind of works. However, that doesn't look like it's actually hitting it. So if I put it there, and then okay, so it's too high. Okay, that explains why that didn't work. Let's do that down one. Yes, okay. Okay, so it's possible to do that. And that is all done with the right trigger. And it's actually a little bit trickier to do than I thought it would be. So, and if I go into this, and I move this just out a little bit, make those platforms slightly bigger. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to have some trigger zones set up. So if I go in here, Dorian, you're probably watching me doing this, going, "What are you doing, man? There's much easier ways to do this." I can just imagine. I don't know why you'd be saying it in an American accent, but I can imagine it. I can completely imagine it. So I need a trigger zone, and this trigger zone has to be quite small. Teeny, tiny, tiny trigger zone. That is something like that. Dreams have meanings. He looks American. I'm not even going to hazard a guess at what you mean by that. Oh, he looks like a hillbilly. Wow, we're all just being savage tonight, apparently. I guess that's what happens. You know, you meet a person for the first time, and all of a sudden, no, I don't want to do that yet. One of the things I'm really bad for is cloning something out and then realizing I need to change crap on that. So I'm going to jump in here, and I am going to do a couple little things. So I'm going to turn my invisibility back off, and this one I am going to give it a label. And the label is going to be friend. Friend. Label to detect. I only want it to detect friend. That is the only thing it will detect. So, oh, thank God it's not just me, Dorian. I'm glad it's not just me who does that. Detection mode, collidable. What? Choose to detect things which are collidable, non-collidable, or both. Yeah, both, sure, why not? I only wanted to detect it when it's visible. That's really important. Otherwise, as this spins round like that, all it's going to do is go detect, 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 detect. Whereas the other way around, this is going to be a fun game in itself. Try and stop it when it's at the right bit. Whee! There we go. Genius. So if I do that, way, look at that. I made it work. Go me. Exceptional. So I can test that now, and I'm happy with that. And it's detected, and all is good with the world. So I now have teeth configured up on my little spinny thing. I have a bouncy ball, and that is awesome. And I have a mechanism by which I can detect it. If I turn my visibility back on, easy for me to say, invisibility. If I turn on my invisibility, I can now make my ball bounce, and only when it's at the lowest point in doing the actual bouncing do I then get the activation on that, which is wonderful. That's exactly what I want it to do. Green teeth like last night. No, Dorian, last night's teeth were gold. Oh, we don't all use copper in our fillings. Right, come on. No, don't. No. Why you be like that, man? Oh, now hang on. Is this going to mess me up here? I need to see my zones. Bleh. And the cheat way of doing this, if you're going to put a trigger inside something, is open up the tweak menu first. Oh, look at that, and then it works, no problem at all. Okay, so now I can move this around a little bit. Go into there, do precise move, and then I get to play about with this as much as I like. Oh, I do like a good precise move. And then that can go in there, stick that there, and do that just about there. So hey, I hear you say, why is it going like that when I want it to be going away and towards the tooth instead of just going up and down? Well, that is down to global movement or grid space. So I want to do, sorry, local movement or grid space. If you choose local movement, way, it'll go in the direction of the object itself. If you choose grid mode, it will go in the direction of the grid. So I can go left and right, and I can go towards and away. So that is something I only discovered about a couple of weeks ago, and my mind was blown. Not like that, Dorian. Again, mind out the gutter. So, that is that. Now, I need to bring this down and do... See, it annoys me that the doodad, I don't need that anymore. It annoys me that the trigger zone doesn't rotate around as I expect it to. Right, so there we go, that's fine. I probably could have done this in other ways, like with, for example, collide detection. But if I'm being completely honest, collision detection is not my specialty. It confuses me a lot. The logic of it, the doing of the logic. So I'm just like, no, do you know what? I'll stick with what I know. I understand trigger zones and I understand all this doohickey stuff. So I'll do it the way I know. I should probably spend a bit of time trying to learn it and doing it different ways, but yeah, you know, why? Why? And you can still see that because I've got my remote control working at a distance without having direct control, it's a remote, it means that that's constantly working. So every time I'm placing something, there. Possibly if it was in a chip, it might rotate. Ah, yes. No, you're absolutely right. I've not even thought of that. There you go. And that, Dorian, is why you have some of the most fun games in Dreams, because you think of things like that, and I don't, because I'm a simpleton. So, bring that into the tooth. That goes into the tooth, but only a little tiny bit poking out. That sits just there. So as long as you get it on the tooth, then you're all gravy. Right. Oh, that's a big ass trigger zone in the way there. Yeah, you're probably right, Dorian. Let's be honest. You normally are. I don't say that often. That's why. Let's just pretend that never happened. I'll pretend it never happened. Yeah, I'll deny any knowledge of it. Dorian's never right. He's always wrong. It's probably Mrs. Dorian. In fairness, it's probably Mrs. Dorian who's the one who's normally right, and Dorian just claims credit. He's got form. He's got form, folks. So, if I now play, now I sound like your missus. I'm sorry, but your missus doesn't sound like an angry Scottish man, or at least I highly doubt it. So, boink, 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 boink. I'll stop with the sound effects and probably put one in. Now, what I also want to make sure is that I can't just hold it down the entire time, if you follow. So how am I going to do this? Okay, so what I want to do is I need something at the opposite side. Okay, so I am going to need to go into this, and I'm going to need one of these. Yeah, so I'm thinking trigger zones in the gaps, but my issue with trigger zones in the gaps is that that's only going to mean someone doesn't have to be the words. Basically, it's going to mean that as long as you're not in the bottom bit, you're fine. I want to force people to completely release the trigger. So what I want to do is I want to create non-collidable element that will be right up the top. Oh, sugar. That was a mistake. That was a mistake, folks. That wasn't meant to happen. Pretend it was totally intentional. Yeah, obviously. Totally meant that. Right. Hey, look at that. How's that for an estimation? So this, very quickly, make that non-collidable. And then what I can do is I can stick an equivalent trigger on here that will be valid as this rotates round. Now, what I'm also going to do is yeah, there we go. Okay, so if I do that in exactly the same place, we now have two items going, and what I can now do is go into that and, now hang on. Haha, problem with that. The problem with that is I need to do that. So I can tell which one is which, and then they're both non-collidable, so in theory I should just be able to move a single trigger zone, make that attach on the one that I want to be at the top, like that, then do that, and then rotate it round as necessary. Again, I want to make sure that the ball is there, so if I do that. Hello, Snags. Good of you to join us. Thank you very much, Captain, for joining us. I hope your flu is on the mend. We've got Amenjo in the stream. We've got Snags in the stream. We've got Dorian in the stream. And yeah, there he is, Dorian, with his concern for people, just as we expect. So, what we've now got is, if I get rid of these trigger zones, yeah, those trigger zones are all fine. And we've still got two. Wait. Oh, you numpty. I deleted the sculpt instead. I'll be in and out. I'm talking to the missus. No worries, Snags. Delighted you could make it. Thank you for joining me. Much appreciated. I just read the Discord before I came here. I don't even want to know what's been said in the Discord. The Discord has been a place of shame and degradation today. I don't know what's going on in there. But hey, at least you're not trying to organize an event, because that would be fun. What kind of crazy lunatic would try and do that in a Discord? Okay, so we've now got a tall sensor and a short sensor that will sense between these two things. So this one, I want to make sure that this one will be invisible when I'm done. So we have a trigger zone up here. I'm gonna edit this And I'm going to give this a label. So this is, well, I could call this friend as well, actually, because they will never be, yeah, they'll never be in the same area. So that's fine. And then this will still work. Okay. So I can now put that on the outer edge of this. Yeah, so that I can go there. Just stick to it. Just stick to the damn. There we go. Thank you very much. Tweak menu into that so I can move it around. I brought the shame. I hang my head. A very heavy flu head, which is full of fluey mucus and fluff. Ah, don't worry about it, Snags. We've all been there. It's absolutely fine. We are all friends. And yeah, you didn't add shame. It's absolutely fine. I also missed the comment on for something something. Apologies, I was fighting with trigger zones and clones. Update the snag's head with a red nose. Why? He's not a clown. Right. Okie dokie. So we have down trigger zones and we have up trigger zones. Awesomes. And when I play that, it will work through all of them. And you can actually see, because I've done it on the side, because I've finally realized that I should, that then works as necessary. Okie dokie. So now that needs to go over there. And no. Now I need to rotate that into place. Like that. There's a lot of controller crab grabbing. Trying to get all of these buttons right. So you have to hold L1 to snap it, and R2 to hold it in place, and then L2 to rotate it into place as well. Honestly, I'm going to get carpal tunnel at this rate. This is ridiculous. So, there we go. Yeah, it's not the neatest in the world, but it's a trigger zone, and the trigger zone will perform, will perform its function as I need it to. Is this magic? No, this is manic logic. So yeah, I suppose an abbreviation concatenation of those words is magic, but not in the traditional sense. This is crazy logic. This is. So the objective that we have, just to catch people up with where we're at, is we have a magic ball. If I just make this invisible for but a moment, and this one also invisible for but a moment, we have a ball that will bounce, bounce, bounce. I don't know if it will explode. I don't know if it will explode. So what we've got is we have a microchip, and the microchip is triggered up to the R2 trigger, and the trigger, yes, many butter moments. The R2, depending on how much you press it, will move the ball down or up. And when it's at the top, it's a slightly higher ball, and when it's at the bottom, it's a slightly more squished ball. So that is what we've got. Bounce, 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 squish. You can't believe it's not butter moments. Oh, for goodness sake, yeah, spread it on thick, why don't you? I'm not starting, don't start with the bloomin' puns in here. I'm not having this. I'm not doing puns in a Discord, in a full-on YouTube chat that people can see and things. So, ball bounces. And as the ball bounces, it then hits things, and as it hits trigger zones, they will keep you alive. That's the idea anyway. And then if I bring invisibility back in, there we go. Okay, so broad strokes, that's what's going to happen. We're going to try and get between these two trigger zones, but the thing has to be visible in order for it to work. Otherwise, the trigger zone will not be activated. So, if I just press play on this, that is in very broad strokes how this will work as a starter for 10. Ah, crap, I've missed one. Now what I will be doing at... Whoa, that was wrong. Oh, crap. Whew. What I will be doing at some point is making a timer so that if you're on it for too long, it will fail miserably and kill you. So you can only bounce on it very briefly, so you can't just flick between them. And I'd also like to make some trigger zones that will mean that you have to kind of do slightly smaller jumps like that. Or very tiny jumps. And then maybe some higher jumps up here as well. That's what I'm looking to do in the long run. For now, I just want to get the basics right. Oh, Menjo, catch you later on, man. Thank you for joining. Right, could even have ones with gaps in the middle, then you have to go through, depends on how hard it is. Yes, absolutely. This is just kind of stage 1. But that mechanism, Menenjo is awesome. Absolutely, absolute legend of a man. I suppose the other thing I like to think about is how I stop someone from just kind of rattling R2 very quickly and just hovering between the two all the time. Because that would be a way of doing it as well. I suppose I could also have something triggered up so that it would increase the speed of the rotation for every one they get right. Oh, is Snags going? I'm confused. Oh, Snags. Oh, right, okay. Ah, sorry, that's what I get for not listening to the chat. Right, Snags, thank you very much for joining us, man. I need to stop doing that. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us, Snags. I hope you feel better. Good luck for tomorrow. Let us all know how it goes on. We're all rooting for you. And yeah, take it easy, man. Be better. Lots of hot fluids. Not like that. That sounded wrong. I didn't mean it like that. Oh, there he is, Nivy artist. Somewhere across the sea, somewhere waiting for me. Right. So, that's kind of all I've got so far. So, I will save that briefly. Ball bounce. Thon. No, Phreaky does not have a good singing voice. Phreaky does not have a good singing voice. How the heck are you? What? Dorian, no, I've said goodbye to Amenjo, so he must leave now. Brilliant. Look, we've not got a Dirty Harold's with the banhammer, so everyone is welcome. We're all friends here, at least until Dorian starts getting handsy. So, okay, so that's great. Now, what I need to do is I need to work out a way in which the ball will be destroyed. How do I do this? Okay, so if I grab a timer, and if I stick my timer over here, and all of the triggers reset my timer, again, this may or may not work, I don't know yet, but if the triggers all reset the timer, and I set this down to be something like 2 seconds, and it's a countdown, then when it reaches the end, I could set something to be a destroyer on the ball. or some kind of impediment to the score, or a reset of the score, or a reset of the speed of the rotator, or something along those lines. I could do that. And that way you have to hit each trigger before the timer runs out. Like that. Yeah, that could work. That might have legs. Okay, let me give that a bash and see what that looks like. Detected resets. Detected resets. Again, because I'm a complete reptile, I didn't actually think that I didn't think ahead, so what I've done is I've ended up with a whole bunch of logic that may or may not work, repeated countless times, which is a really bad idea. Don't do it, folks. Learn from my fail. Or the fail that I continuously make all the time. That one there goes into the reset, as does that one. Yeah, I should have made this a lot more straightforward than I have done. So, Nivi, have you started on your weekly creation yet? For those, well, no, everybody in the stream knows what we're on about here. So, weekly creation this week is Rodent Fight Club. So yeah, I have no idea what this is going to look like. The Rodent Fight Club. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think if Ryan gets involved again, Mr. Ryan Corneal, the legend that is, then I think we all might as well just give up. However, who knows? Oh, Dreams of Meanings has started. Nivi, you've not started yet. Oh dear. Although in fairness, after seeing the character creation that happened on the stream, maybe you need a bit of a head start there, Sam. Small. Why do you put small in bunny rabbit ears? Okay, so that kind of works. What I've got here, I need to reduce that timer massively, I think. Let's do that down to 0.5 seconds. Yeah. Like that. Now we've still got this issue of this, but actually, if you get your timings even slightly wrong, it's not going to reset it. Okay. Oh, I'm only kidding, Sam. I'm only kidding. I think what you did with your goat, your rock climbing goat, was absolute redemption. I was super impressed with that. And I'm not just saying that. I was super impressed with what you did in the time that you had. I was too busy looking at my screen and I missed everything that you did. But I think that, yeah, it was a cracking piece of work, that. And it looked like a goat, which is better than can be said for mine. Okie dokie. So. Now, no, I'm going to need a new microchip for this, and I'm going to call this, look at this, giving it names and everything. Win, lose. You're learning off the best. Why, who else are you watching? So give that a name so I know what it is that it's doing, and I will put a little trophy on that one so I know what that does. I'm going to go for a bit of a gold color with this, guys. Perfect. That I can, so Sam, I don't mean to be patronising or anything here. Feel free to tell me to do one. I won't be offended. But I think what Lady Lex was losing her tiny mind at, not tiny mind, her awesome mind, was that when you're holding something, you can L1 and X into something and hold it still, and then drop it in there. Again, if you already were doing that, my apologies. It was just, I think that was what Lady Lex and I were getting confused by, because it didn't seem that that was the case. Oh, no worries, Nivi. Thank you for joining. Appreciate it, man. So we've now got a timer in here. Timer is awesome. Timer is going to be important. Timer is what will do my win conditions. So on timer finished pulse, if timer runs out, what do I want to happen? I want a sound effect to happen. Let's have a sound effect happen. That'd be fun. Bazinga. Sound effect. Oh, there we go. Good sound effect. Okay, so. Okay, so I know it works. Well, it's not. Okay, so as long as you keep that going, it won't make that sound. Ah, missed one. Missed another one. Ah, and I'm just getting terrible at this already. It's my own blooming game. Okay, so 0.5 seconds might be a little too low, so let's put that to 0.7 seconds. Yes, because 0.7 seconds is too long, and only just too long, to not just hold down the button. I'm going to take that down to 0.6, because otherwise we won't be able to speed this up. Okay, so every time there is a trigger, what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to stick a node in here, and I'm going to stick all of these into that node, because I might use this for a few different things. Nodes are wonderful, nodes are awesome. So Dorian should try to slow down the rotation. Well, what I'm thinking is if you miss, it'll start off slow, and it'll speed up for each one you get right. If you get any wrong, what it'll then do is it'll then give you the alert, you'll get an impact to your ongoing score, and it'll slow it down. So for each trigger you get right, yes, so I now want a variable, and I want a variable modifier. And for my variable modifier, I want to add a value of 10. Seems reasonable round number. Only once, name a variable, give the variable a name, score, S for score, that becomes S. Excellent. No, I didn't change it. I always come back out of it. Do, do I want Dorian's misses to show you how to play it? No. What I do think is I will probably want Dorian's misses to try and get a high score on it. Because I think it could be the next Flappy Bird, yo. This could get exciting. So let's just have a look at this. I need a number output as well. That can go up here somewhere. That's fine. Yeah, that can just sit there, no problem at all. And that goes into there. And because they don't have to be linked, that can sit up there and that can sit over there. And then current score goes into the number range. And we can see the score goes up sometimes. Okay, I'm gonna have to do something about that. That's gonna annoy the heck out of me. Oh no, wrong thing. Make that much quieter. Right. So I hope you got this on like headphones or something, Dorian. Also, your wife snores as well as you? Okay, so it's possible to get points. That's the first thing. Uh, so if you don't get points, right, what do we do if you don't get points? We want some kind of mechanism to let you know that you have done something wrong. So we want like 3 lives, I think, is what we want. We need 3 lives of some kind. I have headphones on, also yes, but not as bad. I like, don't get me wrong, Dorian, you know, love you like family, but I don't think anyone on the planet snores as quite aggressively as you do. And that's coming from me, you know. That's bad. Don't want this to be the only thing that I see. And I want to have 3 balls. Yeah. I want this to only be a stamp. 1, 2, 3. Now, what that now means is that I've... Oh no, that's not going to work. Bring those down. So what these are going to be is lives. How many lives have you got left? So, if I jump into my logic now, and I... Ah, you fa... Nearly, but I didn't. Actually, no, that was silly. Why did I do that? Okay, so I can get rid of that and rid of that. And then I can just go like that. There we go. We have 3. Excellent. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, so we got 3 lives. So, I now need a new chip. Again, this is probably not the best way to do this, but hey. I need a variable modifier. That is going to do that. I'm going to add -1, if that makes sense, to my lives. Every time the sound plays, I will lose a life. In here, I'm going to grab a variable. That variable's going to go there. I'm going to need one of those. And that's going to be an equals. And if that equals whatever I put in equals 3, which is going to be this, and the initial value is 3. So current value goes into A. If that equals 3, we're going to have, you guessed it, it's going to be a keyframe. So keyframe is going to be all 3 of these have some fancy glow on them. You can't see that right now because I don't have the right lighting on. So I'm going to stick off my studio lighting so I can see that. And I'm going to stick that in there. Awesome. Let's just increase that a little bit. Oh no. Increase that a little bit. You can multi-select things and apply glows as long as they are of a type. Okay, so 3 lives. Bish bash bosh. Cool. Now, every time the sound plays, I want that to then down by 1. but it's not reducing that down by 1. Why is it not reducing it down by 1? Because I haven't named the variable, which I named L for lives. Again, your names don't have to be terribly elaborate, they just have to work. Right, 3 lives, 2 lives, 1 life. Excellent. So now that and that, whoa, no. That and that I can now duplicate twice. Lo and behold, I now have that. Now, as I was saying earlier on, the other thing that you can do is if you click on a keyframe, it shows you the things that are affected. So for this one, when you've got 2 lives left, I'm going to delete that. And all of a sudden, the keyframe is only affecting these 2. And likewise with this one, if I click on that one and I delete those 2 animations, I now have just 1 life affected. So I can now put that into there, change that down to 2, and change this one down to 1. Like that. So, 3 lives, 2 lives, 1 life, and dead. So if that now hits 0, that is where we have something happen. I don't know what that something will be yet. We've got that hitting 0, 3 lives, 2 lives, 1 life, and a 0. And I think for every X number that you get, you'll also end up with some kind of a win. So, just very briefly, let's just see how this plays so far. Okay, so it's functional. It's not fun, but it's functional. What you could have is you could have this as a cog. It could be moving along the way, and you could have a number of cogs above it with different length teeth. And so you had to get just the right height for each of the bounces. Classic Dorian, my battery went. I wondered why it went down to 2 people for a while. I thought, God, is my voice really that boring? And then I answered myself, yes, yes, Sean, yes, it is. So yeah, I think that could work. But we've got some basic mechanics for a game in there now. We're getting there slowly. We're making some small progress. I am probably going to call it a night in about 15 minutes. But hey, there's plenty that we can do in the next 15 minutes. We need a death mechanism of some kind. How do you do a death mechanism when you've got a whole bunch of different elements all acting together for the bouncing ball? Hello, 5th person who's just joined, staying silently lurking in the background. Whoever you are, thank you for joining, thank you for watching. So, I've just scared them away because we're down to 4 again. Oh well. So we've got lives. I'm not terribly happy with that actually, so I am going to put in a container for the lives, so that they're not just sat there looking odd. Where did my battery go? Oh, Dorian, your battery went RDRR. Okay, so we want something a bit like that. Maybe not quite like that. A bit more like that. Yeah, that's kind of an even-ish, sort of. Hilarious, Sam. Truly, clearly hilarious. And if I do that, no, nah, that looks crap. Okay, stamp that in for place just for now, and I'm gonna do Bish, bash, bosh. Group them together. Sorted. And that should... Yeah. There we go. At that point, I would be dead. Oh, I tell you what I'll do. I will put another keyframe in here. And I'll delete that. And I'll choose these three. And I will change the color to red. Yeah. Make that play there. There we go. Yeah, that's not too bad. Yeah. Yeah, that's alright. Hang on. Yeah. Yeah, that's not too bad. Right. Should put that joke in another Amenjo collaboration. Oh dear. Dorian's not impressed with that joke, I don't think, Sam. Hashtag must try harder. Okay, so this is lives. Lives. And I want to give this a red color because it's about life, man. It's about a heart. There we go. Something about that. This is health, so that one will do. Oh no, there are insinuations, spurious allegations and insinuations going on here. I have nothing to do with this. I'm just the innocent person trying to do a video. Innocent. I have no idea what's going on in the chat, people. Oh, it's just dreams have meanings and Dorian left now. Everyone else has left. That's how bad the joke was. That's how bad the joke was. It made people actually leave. Whee! Okie dokie. So something else I'm going to need to think about is how I do my speed up and slow down. Because the faster it goes and the faster it rotates, the more or the less time people are going to have to get into the trigger zone. If this is going really, really fast, you'll hit more than one trigger zone just with it spinning naturally. So I'm going to need a mechanism whereby I can get this going appropriately fast. And likewise, when you start off, if it's really slow, then that's not going to... Well, I lost anyway. So, if I bring that back a little bit, and I center that over there. There we go, that's kind of central. Yeah, there we go, something a bit like that, I think. And then if I do this, what I'm wondering is, can I group these together, these 10 items, and will they still work? Yes, they will. Yeah, it still does my trigger for only the top one. But what that means is I think I can put a destroyer on this now. So if I chuck that up there and I go into my win-lose, and do you know what? Lives can actually live in there. And I am going to add another chip to this and do some logic on here. And I'm going to call this ball logic. Dorian, don't say a word. I can see you typing it. I can literally imagine you typing it right now. Okay, so this is ball logic. I'll give it that. I'll give it a nice blue color, so I know what's what. And I am going to copy all of the, in fact, no, do you know what? I am going to copy everything apart from that into ball logic. There. Great. So, Dorian is good with ball logic. Do you know, I kind of don't want to ask. I'm genuinely almost afraid to ask. And then we've got really simple microchip to start us off. And I think that feels like a much better place to start in terms of logic for the game. And then I can just call this logic. Done. So, I think that is a good place as any to start. To stop, rather. We've got a ball. The ball will bounce up and down as necessary. The ball will hit trigger zones at the top and the bottom. The trigger zones have to be hit within 0.7 seconds, although that is for review. You have 3 lives, you will run out of lives. There's a rotator that can be sped up and slowed down, and we've got win mechanisms, or rather we've got a lose mechanism. So, I think that's it for this week, or for today. Before I go, I will save this. I'm also going to jump off very, very quickly. I'm going to exit out of this and I will show you guys what I was meaning when I was talking about my logic. The obstacle ones could just detect if the ball hits them rather than a trigger zone at the top. That will make it easier when you make different cogs and different things. Yes, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So I said before that I did crazy logic. This is my grand piano. It doesn't have any music on it at the moment. But if I go into my logic, every single piano key has a keyframe to press it down. I made it so that I could see whether it was a black key or a white key really, really easily. And that's awesome. And then I've got a whole bunch of other microchips here. And they are right-hand polyphonic, left, right-hand polyphonic. So you've got 4 key simultaneous polyphony here. And then this is the left hand here. If I go into this, that is the logic that sits behind all of this. So you've got 0 octave, which is the bottom 3 notes, 1, 2, 3. And then you're onto your C, which is your first octave, second octave, third octave, fourth octave, fifth, sixth, and seventh. So really, this is actually octave 1. I'm just too lazy to give them the appropriate labels. Within each of these, you've then got a microchip, and the microchip is literally just a node to keep it tidy because it's going on to 3. And I've labeled all of the notes appropriately. So you've got this is A1, that is A, that's your B, that's your B flat. A1, if we go into there, we've then got a calculator looking for a numerical value of minus 2.25. That then goes into a signal manipulator, which does a quick output and a slowed fall. That then goes into a keyframe. And that keyframe is literally just that keyframe. This is more so that I can just kind of grab and drop if I need to. So, what do we do with this? Well, if I find any piece of music that is an actual piece of music, so let me go for my creations as an example, see if I can find something. What's this? Okay, yeah, this will do. And we've got... No, we don't want that. Let's ungroup that. Go into that one, what have we got here? Okay, so we don't want that one. What if we turn this one on? No. What about this one? Okay, yeah, I like that. I really like that. That's lovely. I need a piano. But I could, in fact, you know what? Let's do this so that it's actually a violin staccato done on piano. So what we now need is we go into the timeline, we go into the settings for the staccato, and what I want to do is I want to go into here and I want note value, composite note data. Yes, composite note data holds a whole bunch of information around, oh there you go, outputs a bunch of different signals about the sound and a fat wire, the volume, the button pressed, the note, that's the key one. Spiciness, imposition in freeform view, and note ID. Note ID is the one that we care about. Every note has a unique ID. Put that into the splitter, and we are grabbing the note itself. Every note has a number from the lowest octave up to the highest octave. It's just how this works. So, in theory, now that I've plugged that into this, when I press play, oh look at that, it doesn't work. Oh, it did. So then we go on to a solo violin pizzicato. So what I can now do is if I jump into my right hand poly one, because this can only detect one note at a time. But if you simply clone it, what you end up with is you end up with the ability to play multiple notes at once. So for example, if I now go into this and I do exactly the same thing again, and I grab my composite note data and I chuck that into my splitter and it splits everything out, and I bring my start point all the way over to here. Let's do here so we get a little bit of some kind of intro. And I come down here and we've suddenly got two hands playing. But you can do that with any piece of music at all in Dreams, providing it has the notes as numbers like this. So it won't work with just a track, but you can do that with any type of music at all, providing it is single notes in sequence. It doesn't, so you can see here, if we look at this, there are two notes played at once. This can't detect two notes at once. It will only detect the highest of the notes, the largest number. If I wanted to do that, I would need to split it out and delete the top number or the top note. So I got the two. So if I come out of that, because I don't need that anymore, get rid of that. And if I find Iterudsomnia, wherever the heck that is these days. Last one, and then I'll let you guys go. Where the heck is it? Come on now. Ah, here we go. Right. Iterudsomnium. And I edit this, and what we've got here is, again, individual notes, but what I did was I cloned the Bright Piano track and just deleted the highest note in each case, so I was left with the remaining notes underneath it. Dorian, music goes great, sounds like a ghost playing. It absolutely does. That is the work of the wonderful Reddish Boat, who did that. That is called Ethan's Theme. I can't say much more about that right now because it's for a project that may or may not come to pass. So, we've now got a whole bunch of information here, and it's all going into all of these different things, which all have different notes in them, which all do something like this. Oh, of course you know what it is, Dorian. I forget that. So then we got the piano coming in. And then we've got the violin. Now, in fairness, I will point out, I completely cheated with this. So, what I've got is, again, I'm giving away all sorts of stuff here. So, what I've got is literally the bow in several different positions. And this is simply a randomizer. It will literally just play a random string. That is all it will do. And then within the bow itself, as long as the track is playing, we've then got an action recorder. And as long as the track is playing, or there is a note playing, the bow will move back and forward. So, oh crap. If I skip this forward a little bit, so you can see we've got the 4 violins non-vibrato here, but if I then bring that along to there, it's only when the string plays that you get the movement. And the same with this. Exactly the same thing. And that's literally all it is. It is just one chip that I have reused and reused and reused and cheated with and all of it. This was my original piano that I did. Crikey, I don't even know if this, I don't even think this has, yeah, this has no logic to it whatsoever. It was just a rickety old piano that I made based on the one at Media Molecule. But I really liked the idea of doing a piano, and so I thought, I wonder if it can be done. So I started looking into the logic of it, knowing nothing about the logic, and then learned all about logic through that. And at 1 hour 35, I think that is as good a time as any to stop. I'll show you some of my other logic in the next stream, which will be on Thursday at about 9 o'clock-ish. And we will carry on with the Ballathon, and we will carry on with looking at some of my other random creations and logic. Like that bad boy. Have a good one, everyone, and I will catch you next time. Take care.